Hello, good morning. I feel like in the past, my self-conception, when I was a wee lad, of course, was very abstract. There was really nothing there that was like no foundational forces keeping it together or, like pushing it forward. And as I grew and became a larger lad, then my identity kind of started coming into creation, right? And this isn't a completely like isolated event. Obviously, other people's identities and conversations factored into how I built who I am, right? And so, I'm at this point where my identity has become very concrete, for me at least. And I can kind of see how all of these factors of like what I want, why I am the way I am, and like it's also in my head. It's hard to describe because being a wee lad with an ambiguous identity, everything was so effervescent, It's also ethereal. There's nothing really holding me together, and I wasn't very absolute on my beliefs, right? I could always question anything that I thought about myself of like, is this who I am? I don't know. I'm just some kid. And as I've matured and kind of self-assured my identity of who I am into this box, I've lost those infinite possibilities, right, of who I could be when I was a wee lad. Because I would always think, like, man, I could be like a bartender. That'd be cool. Or I'd be like, ooh, I could be like an astronaut. That'd be cool. But I'm neither of those things, right? Because being a bartender is scary for me. And being an astronaut is, well, out of my league. But now that I do have this defined future, this defined path ahead, this concrete path ahead, I can no longer abstract about possibilities, or at least the cone of possibilities has shrunk into just this one, right, future, which I think is a lot better, because then you don't have the absolute dread, the absolute terror of looking and thinking, so what is my life gonna look like in 5 years? I have no idea. I could be anything right now. I could be some meth head off the street, or I could be like a really important person. I could start a business. I could do so many different things, and all I would need to do is apply myself in those aspects. But now, as I've applied myself in certain aspects towards greater ends, there's obviously the sunk cost fallacy that I'm going to finish what I have started, right? I am going to do everything in my power to complete the process that I'm undergoing in order to fulfill my future plans, right? Of what I will do. But even those, while still more concrete than I was, are certainly quite abstract. And I'm curious as to the critical points of where my future becomes absolutely concrete. Or at least like absolutely concrete for the next 5 years, Because anything really could happen. But what's the point where I pretty much know what I'm going to be doing in some capacity for the next 5 years. And I'll definitely know whenever I hit that point, you know. It'll be like, oh, now I know what I'm doing for the next 5 years. But up until now, my cone of concreteness has been getting smaller and smaller until I'm going to be at this one point with a few decisions. And then from those decisions, I'll have that path, you know. And I suppose that's just greater career-wise, but my hobbies can also entail other careers, right? Like this YouTube thing I do. If I want, I could get really good at it and start making, I don't know, video essays about nuclear power plants across the US, or like the future of the coal industry, or just like a whole lot of stuff that I'm kind of interested in. And definitely I could make YouTube videos about music, right? Or, speaking of music, I could spend a wicked lot of time on that and make a whole album or something, release it, and see what happens, right? Because I know what good music is. I know, like, whenever I listen to something, I can be like, yeah, that's gonna pop off, or that already has popped off. Because there's just this sound. And if I can try and create that sound in my style, whatever that may be, then maybe I could be a musician. But still, my future career is what there is for me, you know. All of these other things are small possibilities, but what I have started, what I have invested most of my time in, what I have spent hours and thousands of dollars for, is ahead of me. It's what I'm going to do, right? And I'm excited for that too, you know. Anyways, toodles.